So we're
Harry
here.
Harrison. Two Harrys. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're a
just
good man.
yeah.
No, welcome, man. So yeah, you're the first winner of the Sen Games season one. How does that feel?
It feels pretty damn good. It was such a tight race, and I don't know, it was kind of a dramatic finish. It's like everyone thought Storm had it in the bag, and then just we checked the rules again, verifications were done, and suddenly there's two winners. So that was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, man, it was pretty exciting when we are going through like the verification. We're like, oh, hang on a minute, like because we thought Storm would run away with it as well. We're like, oh, Lucas is actually in the mix here too, so that was insane. So I guess before we kind of jump into how you actually managed to pull that off and book, what was it, 15 calls in 7 days, which is absolutely absurd. Do you want to tell us a bit more about your business? Who do you sell to? What do you do?
Yeah, so I've got a like productivity time management coaching little program. I specifically help with lack of urgency because I figured out that was like the main, it was a pretty big problem that people struggle with. And the process I bring people through is fixing basically their lack of urgency. So that's what I do. Now I have a YouTube channel as well that's been doing pretty well in the past month or so, which explains why I was able to book so many calls. But yeah, I just invite people to my free community, and that's where the conversion happens.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we've seen as well your YouTube's absolutely killing it as well, like a decent amount of subscribers. So I mean, prior to because obviously you joined the Sen Games, I think actually a day late, so you actually booked 15 calls in 6 days, which is even better. So what was it that kind of caught your attention to actually want to get involved, and how were your results prior to actually doing that, and then obviously afterwards?
Um, you're asking me for the strategy, sorry?
I'm asking, so obviously in the games in 6 days, you booked the 15 calls. Like the week before, for example, how many calls did you book, and how did sort of the Sen Games help you like book more calls, if that makes sense?
Right. Okay. So the week prior, I can't tell you exactly. It was probably closer to maybe 10. Um, what the Send games did was kind of create some type of pressure to just make that a priority. So it's often the case that we've got multiple things that we could be doing in the business, but we have to remember that booking calls is the most important thing for most people. So during those 6 days, I was like, okay, let me just put all my focus on this. Let me lock in and just put a little bit more effort than I would have otherwise. So I would take extra measures. I would put in extra reps, do some more follow-ups, get creative with how I would book those calls, and you could see the difference. I think I would have booked maybe 10 if it weren't for the Send games. I booked an extra five. So yeah, it mainly made a difference through um, creating extra pressure, the competition, the low motivation to win that $100 was definitely there as well. So yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So essentially a 50% increase as well, which is sick. And I mean, once you kind of drive people from your funnel from YouTube into your free school community, what sort of things are you saying to them when you reach out to book the call? Do you have like a specific like script you follow, or is it just like a case by case depending on like what you know about that person?
Yeah, I have a pretty clear sort of funnel with the messages. So everyone who joins gets the same automated message. I won't read the whole thing, but it's like, "Welcome to Productivity School. This could genuinely be a game changer," something like that. And then, what's the main thing that you struggle when it comes to productivity? And then I give them options. In because it used to be an open-ended question. It used to be like, "What is it?" And then the response rate was not as high, but now I give them options. So it's like, is it is it consistency? Is it focus? Is it this? That there's like six choices. At that point, they're going to answer. They're going to give an answer. It could be one thing. It could be multiple things. And then I always send them a video. So a personalized video where I welcome them. I say their name, like, welcome, Harry, welcome to the community. So you struggle. And then based on what they answered, I've got the same answer, the same like yeah response. So if they say time management, I always say, so you struggle with time management. What have you tried to manage your time, and why do you think it hasn't worked? If they say all of them, Now, I always say the same thing when they say that. I say, I've noticed that it usually comes from one main thing, which is lack of urgency. Would you say that's the case in your situation? So basically, whatever they say, I've got a response, and the goal is just to for them to elaborate a little bit on that issue that they're struggling with, and then at that point they're going to answer, and that's usually when I send the same message offering them the discovery call. So I usually just reframe what they told me. It's always the same message. It says, that makes complete sense. Then I reframe. And then I say, I'm happy to schedule a 10-minute call, ask you a few questions, see where I can help. Does that sound good? They either say yes or no, and I send them the link after that. And that's literally the whole process. It's usually they only have to send me 2 messages, and then they've got the link to book the call.
Very nice. And I'm curious, once you're on the call with these people and you see you can genuinely help someone, what kind of offers have you got in place? Have you got like a high ticket offer on the back end, something low ticket, a bit of both?
Yeah. So what happens is I quickly, qualify them based on their goals, what they're struggling with, and their budget. So if I see that they're a good fit for the high ticket, which I have, I'll offer them a second call where I basically tell them, okay, you definitely seem to be a good fit for my one-on-one coaching. I'd like to offer you a second call where I mostly explain what it would look like to work together. You can decide if it's a good fit for you. So I offer them the sales call. For the people who just don't have the budget, because one of the questions I ask is if there was someone that could fix this problem that you've told me today, or something, someone, whatever, would you be willing to invest in that? And just some people, for some reason, say no, I'm not willing to invest, or they have very little money. So I'll be like, there's no point in hopping on a 45-minute sales call with that person. And then I have tiers in my community. So I've got the premium tier and the VIP. If they are a better fit for that, I'll just immediately pitch them those things in the discovery call. So I'll just, okay, you don't have the budget, but the premium, $27 a month, could help you in this way. And I've managed to close some clients during the discovery call for the tiers. But every single one-on-one client is closed in the sales call.
Got you. Nice. Something that I noticed with you as well is that you seem to never really struggle with no shows. It seems like people more often than not actually show up to your calls, which is something that a lot of people inside of the senders community right now is really struggling with. Like they're just saying, people aren't showing up to my calls, they're late or anything like that. Do you have any kind of tips or advice that you can share to increase your show up rates?
That's a good question. Well, to be honest, I don't know what my show up rate is right now, but I would agree that it's probably not too bad at all. I think it's pretty good. But tactically, the only thing I really do for that specifically um, is the day before I send them a message telling them speak soon, speak tomorrow. I might even do it 2 days in a row, and then again the day before. When someone tells you like yeah or like see you soon or whatever, they've just committed again to showing up, and now they're more likely to stay consistent with that commitment. So that's one thing I do. I also tell them when they book the call, I tell them to put it in their calendar. So I tell them like, don't forget to put in your calendar. And then I tell them the link is in the email you just received. So everything is clear. They have no excuses at that point. And the only people who don't show up at that point are the people who just, for some reason, now they don't want to. But it's never because they forgot, because I've put everything in place to make sure that they are reminded of it.
Cool. Sounds good, man. And with your, okay, so that's a good little nugget there of doing everything you can, having all the processes in place to make sure that they show up. And in terms of, you mentioned earlier that those extra 5 calls came down to putting in the reps, getting a little bit more creative. What was that like creativity piece that got you from booking 10 calls to then an extra 5? Like what were those specific strategies that got you the 50% increase besides the motivation and things like that during the games?
Yeah, good question. So I definitely DM'd more people on school, people outside my community. So in my community, there's a certain limit to how many people I can message. So I started looking outside and seeing, okay, this person has just mentioned that they struggle with this thing related to productivity. Let me just message them and try and get them inside my community, and should be easier to get them on a call, because I've just like created a little connection with them before they even joined. I also looked at my leaderboard in my community. I just thought, why not message the people who've been active in my community for weeks and months? Why not message them again? And for the ones that haven't hopped on a discovery call yet, let me just try again.
Mm.
So that's kind of the extent of like the extra measure, like the extra things I did. It's never that complicated, it always comes down to the same few things, but I'd say I would not have done those things if it weren't for the Send games.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, especially as well, like people listening to this, like 15 like meetings booked is like absurd as well. The thing that what we've kind of looked at as well is that not just 15 meetings, but 15 qualified meetings with people that you can actually sell to, which is you're not just kind of blasting out volume to people, which would never be a fit, which again is a waste of sort of theirs and your time. So if someone wanted to kind of copy your approach, I know with YouTube kind of being like your main like lead magnet for people, what are sort of three things that they should be doing, which will help them kind of go on the same path?
Yeah. So obviously you want to start some sort of some sort of account where you post content as soon as possible. I won't say that YouTube is the only option. It's the only thing I've done, but I'm sure you can succeed on other social media. So start a social media account as soon as possible and put reps in for such a long period of time that it seems crazy. I mean, I started posting 3 years ago, right? Now I've been very, very, very consistent for 1.5 years, but still, I was making videos before that, and just now seeing big results. So yeah, it takes a lot longer than you think. You have to put in a pretty crazy amount of reps before you see results. So that'd be the first thing. The second thing is just to have, as many conversations as possible with people in your niche. So it's like you might want to do some research calls. You might just want to, do some little interviews, send messages to people in your niche, asking them what they struggle with, what kind of solutions could help them. The goal here is to learn as much as possible about your niche, what people struggle with, how you could potentially help them. And when you've made those connections through niche research and research calls and interviews like that, you can potentially get those people to hop on a real discovery call, or even just make a sell like straight away. That's how I got my first sell. And learning more about people in your niche will help you build a better product. So I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know what else. It's just about, doing the basics for long enough. Something else. The third thing I would say is to have a clear picture of the sort of the funnel that people go through from the moment they learn about you to the moment that they hop on a call with you. What is that process? What are the steps? Are they clearly mapped out? And are you able to clearly see which one is not working, which one needs to be optimized? So I would say I have a built out. I call it the customer. What is it, like the customer journey map? So it's
Yeah.
like each and every step. I want to be aware of that whole process so that I can optimize each part. I would say that that's very important to do as well.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I didn't realize as well your YouTube has been kind of running for that long. So yeah, it's good to see you've got the reps and consistency as well, which is the same process as well when it comes to outbound. Is you have to, like you said, do the boring stuff over and over, then eventually it begins to compound. So final question for you. So how did it feel to win? And what would you say to the other people kind of on the fence considering joining the next round?
How did it feel to win? I mean, I'm a winner, so it wasn't that weird. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no, it felt good. It the price, the cash price, sorry, was not the biggest win. The biggest win was the amount of calls I booked, right? 5 extra calls because of this challenge to me is more valuable than $100. So you have to, if you're hesitating about joining this challenge because you're like, oh, I'm going to pay $19 to join. What are my chances of winning $100 and making my money back? It's like you're not seeing the bigger picture here. The bigger picture is for a whole week, you're going to be putting some more reps in. You're going to be putting more effort. You're going to be learning and improving, and you could potentially make your first sell just because you put more effort into it, and that's worth a lot more than $100.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of like the reasons we kind of set this up in the first place is like the byproduct of competing for the prize is like you said, you get the things booked which will start to help you drive your business forward. So it's essentially a win-win because even if you don't win the cash prize, you're still booking meetings. So either way, you're kind of getting the outcomes that you want. But no, that is all our questions. Really appreciate you kind of taking the time to jump through this. And how are you feeling for season 3? You reckon you'll get the win in that one?
What is it? What is it?
We'll be dropping the details in probably a week's time, but we're going to give people like a little bit of a gap between them just so we can get some more people involved because we want it to be as competitive as possible and people can give you a run for your money as well.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, you know what? For the next 2 weeks or whatever, I'm going to tell my prospects to hold off. Just just wait a little bit. I can't take any calls in the next 2 weeks, but I'll message you again very soon, and then we'll just book 25 calls in a week when we get there.
Yeah, I love it, mate. Well, you've got to beat 15 this time, so I'm
Yes,
keen to see
sir.
what
We'll
number
do
you land
our
on.
best. All right.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, man. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.